Hey, thanks for joining us. You are listening to Youth Unhinged by Yuvaan and Karan. When fanatic Jen hit us in the face, we both sat down and decided to talk about it. If you happen to be around our age or seem confused on what is going on in the minds of us millennials, cheer up, you have come to the right place.
So, what's your opinion on financial terms? Do you know? Have you done any reading on it so far?
So far, I think I know about general ways of financial literacy, like what they mean by financial literacy. I think generally people, when they ask about are you financially literate, I think their brain straight away go to investment and those stuff, right?
Yeah, those
But I
kind of
think
things.
it does not start there. It is as simple as managing your expenses, if you just ask me. What about you, Karan?
I think there's some terms that when they say financially literate, right? I think there are a few terms that they mean you should be familiar with. So I mean, like some of the terms, for example, inflation, recession, default. Do you know what those three terms mean?
I think number one and number two, I kind of got the idea of it, but default, not really.
Okay. So you remember the other day let's start with default then. The other day, right? We were talking about Sri Lanka's crisis. So the problem was they were having debt, right?
Yeah.
So the debt was to the World Bank and also to China.
Yep, around 4 million, right?
What was it?
4 billion, sorry.
Yeah, 4 billion, something like that. Was it the World Bank? Do you remember?
I think so. It's the World Bank. I'm not exactly sure.
Right. Okay.
If you guys want to know more about it, just go and listen to our episode. It was called, what was the episode, Karan?
One Man's Greed.
Yeah, correct. One Man's Greed. Do check it out.
The thing about it was, after that episode, just a few days after, I think, did you know that the government basically defaulted? Did you read? Did you happen to come across any of the articles?
I think after that, I just saw that the same finance minister came to the position again, but after that, I didn't really update on it.
Right. Okay. Well, anyway, they defaulted. So what happens when you default means you and this is true also when it comes to you personally borrowing loans as an adult, like to pay for your car or your house, whatever. Education also, right?
I mean, student loans are a big issue right now.
Student loans, yeah, everyone's broke. So when you default on a loan, what happens is basically you can't pay up what you've borrowed. So I think the way businesses do it is, I think Donald Trump once filed for bankruptcy. I think it's basically the same thing. And I think in severe cases, right, I remember people who can't really don't have the means to pay back the loans that they made, right? They go, that's that point when they say, oh, I can't live in this house anymore. I have to sell all my property, sell my car. Actually, it's come to that point where it's really severe, So they go to the bank lended them the money, right? So they go to the bank, and then the bank, and it's essentially a negotiation, I think. So they and the bank try to work out what they can do. So I mean, obviously, best case scenario, the bank gets all their money back. So it's actually in the interest of the bank to not try to sell off your house and stuff like that. They'll try other ways. For example, maybe, I guess, we'll take so much from your salary.
Oh yeah, makes sense. This is where the mortgage will come in also, right?
Yeah. If it becomes that severe, like I said. So if it's not, they'll try to use other methods first. So take a cut from your salary, certain percentage every month.
Okay, so default is technically finding an alternate way for it, is it? To settle your debt.
Yeah, basically, it basically means you can't settle your debt, and then and then you're bringing in other people to sort of help you pay it off, lah.
Oh, okay, got it. And today also, before we start the episode, actually, I asked this question about describe how broke you are in our Instagram page.
So that's what that was all about.
So
I was like, why did that come out of nowhere suddenly?
So it was very obvious that most of our listeners were feeling broke as well financially.
Oh, you got any answers?
Yeah, I've
Oh,
I've
you
shared
did.
some of them. Like there was a lot of it, but then I didn't share all of it
Uh-huh.
because I had to do some research as well, right?
Yeah. And anyway, your answers all.
Yeah.
Ewan is the only guy in the world that knows it, apparently. so well.
So it shows that like many people were actually like broke lah. I mean, and they were creative
Uh-huh.
as well. One of the
Right.
persons said that they're like dirt poor right now, but then they just blame it
Uh-huh.
on themselves, like they are poor
Right.
because of their own decision.
Does that
So I
make you
think
feel any better?
not really, but then it just shows that it is at the end of the day, it is our own decision, right? On how we
Mhm.
spend our money and how we
Right.
go through our financial management. So that's
Yeah.
where I came across this article, It's the essential way is like apparently there is 5 principles of financial literacy. The 5 steps are earn, spend,
Mm-hmm.
save and invest, borrow and protect.
Are those 5? Hold on.
Save and invest is like it's together.
Hold on. Earn and
Earn,
then
spend,
uh-huh.
save
Okay,
and
earn,
invest
spend.
as
Okay.
one,
Save and invest.
borrow,
Okay.
protect,
Borrow. Okay. So the first 3 seem like very
the basic
intuitive, right?
ones.
Yeah, like because when the moment you earn, you're gonna spend,
Mm-hmm.
and
And when
then
you
with
are
the
spending, you should be having some kind of saving as well.
yeah, exactly. So it comes very intuitively for anyone who's looking into the future, I guess. I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of people also they don't really consider like what's gonna happen 10 years from now. They just like, spend everything they have. Fair enough, some people can't afford that also.
Yeah,
But there
but
are
then I
also
think they are in the
instances.
mindset of like YOLO, right? You only live once,
Yeah,
so have the
yeah.
fun while you're still at it.
That's assuming you're gonna die fast. You know what
Same.
I
Yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah, exactly.
That's the main problem with it. Unless you're like earning that much, like Elon Musk, which happens. I think our listeners don't fall under that bracket. Neither do we.
Yeah, I think that's like the essential way of look at financial literacy, right? As long as you're
What?
not too poor or too rich, you need to be financial literate. If not, you're
Yeah.
going to suffer.
And I guess that covers the basics. So I guess I agree with you to a certain extent that
Mm-hmm.
if you're talking about financial literacy and based on the article on the article,
Yeah,
then you don't really need to know many terms, right? That seems to be enough
but like
to get
knowing
you
the
going
term
in.
is like part of the financial literacy lah. If you know it, then
Mm-hmm.
you might have like a better approach towards certain issue. Like let's say
Mm-hmm.
you're going to buy a property, but then you don't know how income tax work. You don't know how the taxes and then like a certain country's certain regulation about buying property in the country. You need to know
Mm-hmm.
those stuff to like properly take the appropriate steps for it, right?
Right. Yeah. Talking about taxes, there's some things that are exempt from tax, and then
Mm-hmm.
like at the end of the year, you sort of like give a form to the government, and then you jot down all the things that you bought that are exempt from taxes, and then at the
Uh-huh.
end of the year, I think they sort of give you back the money that they owe you because uh, it's all like exempted from tax. So they
Mm-hmm.
give it back to you. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I think I've seen my parents doing it.
Uh,
So like that was my
I think
follow-up
it's yearly,
question
right?
actually.
It's
Yeah,
it's
I
a
think
yearly
it's
thing.
yearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you actually know about it, Karen?
Yeah. Same like you parents.
Mm-hmm. But then,
Yeah.
right, I know by looking at them doing this stuff, but then they didn't actually
Uh-huh.
explain anything to me personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
Yeah,
is
well,
something
there's
that,
not much to explain there anyway.
yeah, but then like I think parents should already must be taking the initiatives to tell us about this stuff. Like that is the first step of knowing our finance.
Mm.
That's my opinion.
But
What do you think about it?
right, no, I think it's too basic.
Too basic. But then you see,
Yeah.
honestly, right? Till now, I don't know how tax works like perfectly. I can't explain it to anyone.
Why?
And that is because all the knowledge that I got from it is just by hearing someone else talking to someone about it. But no one
But I mean,
actually
you
talked
don't
to
you
me
don't
about
really
it.
need to know. You don't really need to know much about it. I mean, at the end of the day, what comes in your pocket is your salary, and it's already been your tax has already been deducted from it. So there's no
Mm-hmm.
need to know about it.
Yeah, but then true lah. The one I agree. But then not just tax, like just in general about finance. I feel our parents are not free to talk about it to us.
I don't think they're well versed in it as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. They are like
Yeah.
not willing to talk about it.
No, because there's not much to talk about. I don't think that, because what is it that you want to know from your parents, for example? Give an example.
I want to know like how much expenses they're doing like per month, or how they are basically balancing their expenses and income. Like how much is the income for the household per month,
Uh,
and how much is the expenses? Like
well, I
how
mean,
much they on
you are
loan.
already doing that, being a student, like in Korea, right? You're basically doing that already. So it's figuring it out for yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's why
And
like
then
we are figuring it
different
out.
couples have got different agreements. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
that's the way it's done.
I
So
think we
why
are doing it correctly so far. I would say like we are taking our own initiative, but
you
then
only
like
learn through mistakes after all.
But then I think if parents are willing to talk about it, then it would be like a good leeway for us to know more and be more cautious with our decision. Like, to be honest, there are times where I make like very big financial mistake that I regret until now. Like I've
Like
spent like too much of my money on buying Dota 2 skins, which I deeply regret right now because I'm not even playing.
stupid.
Okay lah. Don't bash me for it lah.
Yeah, Sharon did the same.
Have you done like any financial mistake? Maybe not to that degree, I suppose, but anything similar?
Uh well, I don't think so, no. because I haven't had that much of, well, the only thing I regret doing was I sort of get like something like 100 or 200 ringgit for my birthday every year.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you get it, obviously the first thing you do is put it in your pocket and save it, right? So but then
Yeah.
when you're like 6, 7, 8, 4, 5, 6 years old, that's not the first thing you do. So
Mm-hmm.
I remember telling my brother, like he was like standard 3 or something. I was like, okay, you save this today and you watch how much you'll have in just a few years. And that guy has got like 1,000 ringgit already today in just
Yeah.
like 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get that kind of advice. And so every time I had like 50 or 100 ringgit, I just used it to buy some nonsense. And I had no idea it gets. I had no idea that you just need to wait a few years and it will multiply by so much. Especially when you're a spoiled kid, everyone gives you money. That's
Yeah.
not the case now.
That's true. I think we should really like take advantage of our childhood back then, right? Like for me,
Yeah,
like during
exactly.
Deepavali, during festival season, wow,
Yeah,
the amount
those
of
kind of
money that you
times.
can
Yeah,
get.
Christmas was for
Yeah,
me
my
birthday and
God.
Christmas.
Mm.
So yeah,
But I don't know
you
whether
can lose it
it,
as quickly as well. Yeah, you see.
I don't know whether it's something that your parents did as well back then. I feel like my parents always take the money from me and they'll be like, oh, I'll keep it so that I'll put it in a bank account later.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow I feel like it didn't happen. I feel like they put it in their own bank account. I don't know whether it's exactly true or not, but it looks like it.
Right. So what? When people give you money, they say I'll put it in your bank account.
Yeah, and then
Is
they'll
that
take
how it
it.
went?
They won't give it to me. I don't know why.
Right. Okay. So well, my parents let me keep it. So who knows? Maybe you might see it. Maybe you might not. Who knows, man? Well, we're
Yeah.
gonna take a short break. We'll be back right after this. Okay, so let's pick up from where we left off. So we were talking about not spending money, whatever. So we leave that topic there for the moment. So back to what's happening in Sri Lanka, right? So they had a sovereign they did a sovereign default. So what happens when you do a sovereign default? And one thing surprisingly, right? I asked my dad, you can't get jailed for defaulting. Did you know that?
Wow. Then,
That's interesting, isn't it? Then why
but
not
will
you
you be
like borrow?
blacklisted or not?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can't borrow after that. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
really affects your ability to borrow after that. So apparently with sovereign default, right? Uh, what happens is normally a recession follows after a sovereign default. You've heard of recession before?
Yeah, I think I know. I think we talked about it last
Yeah.
time. I'm not sure.
Keep you updated
Yeah.
in case you've forgotten. Yeah, it's essentially like the moment after sovereign default happens, the people from World Bank, basically I told you, like you sort of like enter negotiations with your bank, right? When you
Yeah.
realize you can't pay
But the ultimate
your
goal
loan.
is to pay the money to the bank, right? I
Yeah,
can.
that's
Yeah.
gonna happen one
Either
way or
way.
another. Yeah. So right, I told you the government, I mean the bank might take a certain amount from your salary every month, right? You know,
Yeah.
another thing they can do. Another thing they can do is also like I said, the things that you are exempted from taxes, they'll take all of that money as well. So stuff like that. They try to cut out money from you wherever possible. They squeeze it out of you. So that's the same thing that happens on a national level.
But then, to be honest, if you're already at that stage, your life is already miserable enough. And then they're
it's already
taking all
miserable,
this money and it's going to be more miserable.
Yeah, but that has to be paid. Better do it that way than you selling your house or something like that. At least you still have a roof to live in. For people with who have gone to that degree where they have to sell the house, very unfortunate, bad, sad way of living.
A good advice that we can take from here is don't stack up your debt, and if possible, like clear it as soon as possible. Even whether it's your credit card debt or anything, just finish it as soon as possible.
Do you plan on having a credit card?
Not now, but when I start to earn money, maybe I will, because of the credit card scores and the advantage that I can get. Quite a lot lah, I feel like.
Oh really? I don't dare.
I think we must be disciplined about it. Of course, like I understand why you're not like brave enough to do it, because you're afraid that you'll stack up your debt, right? And you might over explain by purchasing some expensive stuff. But then if you're disciplined enough, like let's say you put like certain
why does it even make sense? Like, is it that easy to earn points?
Points, it generally like stacks up as long as you're using to buy products with the credit card, right? And then what I'm trying to say is the discipline comes in where if you can pay off all the debt in that for a certain month, like let's say like in January you're spending around, give me a good number.
5K.
Okay, 5K. I don't know, quite too much.
No, I don't think so.
Currently.
Right. So for people who are like seasoned borrowers, seasoned users of credit cards, I think 5K is like normal.
Yeah, I think when you enter the work life, it should be normal, I suppose. I don't know.
Really?
We haven't entered the stage, so we don't know yet. So okay lah, let's say 5K, but you can pay off the 5K in that 1 month. I think you're good to go while you're stacking up your credit card scores.
So how many times are you gonna have to do that before you actually get something like get a gift or whatever?
Oh yeah, the one I don't know should be quite a lot lah, because you need to do it like for a few years, I guess.
And there you go. See, I completely don't understand why it makes sense now. I still don't understand it because all you need to do is have a debit card, and that does the job equally as well. You don't have to like,
debit card doesn't give you any incentives. Oh, because credit card is like this, right, Karan? You are technically paying without your money, and then you are paying for it, right? And then like by doing that, you can also get incentive. But then when it comes to debit card, you are just paying off from your savings.
What's the incentive that you can't really afford?
That's the thing. I feel like when you're going towards financial literacy, right, you need to be a cheapskate, honestly saying it.
Yeah, and using a credit card isn't being a cheapskate.
I feel so because like you are allowing yourself to get even the smallest incentive.
Oh, in that sense.
Yeah.
No, but then you're not being a cheapskate when you borrow 5K just to satisfy your materialistic needs.
Yeah, in that sense, of course, it is not like cheapskate. But then like
you're being the direct opposite of a cheapskate, and you're taking whatever is left after that as well. I characterize it as being extremely greedy.
No, but then you shouldn't overspend your money lah if you're using credit card.
That's how you get points though.
You can do it gradually also, right? By having your own budget and stuff.
So how long is that going to take you before you get a set of cooking knives? So something around that price.
I don't know what are the incentives exactly, but then I know that like you can get like travel, like hotel tickets. I'm not sure.
All of that. You know, a hotel room nowadays costs like 200 ringgit. Worth it for 5 years of borrowing.
But you're paying back in the 1 month, right?
No, not necessarily, because I think if like you pretended you sort of like had the money, you didn't have the money, but actually you had the money, right? And you're doing it just for the freebies and whatnot, right? There's still the headache of you transferring the money from your bank account to repay that. And I think that's already such a strenuous process that people generally tend to put that off. And so because they do that, then that's how it eventually compounds. Yeah, and then when you reach there, you're already in trouble to me. So it doesn't really doesn't add up to me. Yeah.
We just let the listeners to answer in our comment section in YouTube. Enlighten us, guys. Debit card or credit card? I'm on team credit card and currency, team debit card.
Well, okay, so I know where I'm at. You know where you're at. Okay, this is not gonna make sense to me. So, well, let's leave it there then. So that's what happened in Sri Lanka. So now, what? Just to pick up again where we left off. Going through the story again. So what happens is a recession. So when a recession happens, you're basically going to bring in your bankers, which on a national or on an international level would be the World Bank, and the World Bank says, okay, look, all of these things that that you have, for example, paying public servants for the work they do, right? Okay, that's using too much money. All these contracts that you have, okay, that's taking away too much money from you. All these social securities that you're giving to people who are not working, so that's also costing you too much. Okay, you've got to get rid of that. So the result of that is so many people are going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
So many people who are jobless and who are getting like a little bit of money from the government as a form of healthcare. They're gonna get either less or they're gonna get nothing at all. And so what happens is a very severe sort of severe period of time where everything becomes very expensive for the people who are living in that country. But what it does on the flip side is it promotes tourists, because suddenly everything there becomes much cheaper, because the way you want to try to get out of a debt is one of the ways is by printing extra money. So when you print more money, it's going to cause inflation. So the people staying within your country, well, things are going to get more expensive for them because the inflation, right?
Yeah, inflation,
But
and
then
they're also
people-
earning less from all of the thing you say just now.
Exactly, which is the precise definition of inflation, and they're also losing jobs. They can't. So really horrible period for them. But for people who are coming in as like tourists, suddenly things become much more cheap because the currency has also depreciated so much. So the value of items itself intrinsically has lowered so much as well. So you're going to be able to spend a lot, I guess to certain, like the way Singaporeans have a joyride in Malaysia, right? I guess it's the same thing. And so.
But then I think it can help the economy as well. But then the whole point of doing it is to help the economy, right? Yeah. So when these tourists come and spend their money here, it can improve. But then during the period of time, the people will be suffering.
Yeah, and I think it can go on for months, who knows, years.
Yeah.
And there are some lasting effects. What they are, I don't exactly know, unfortunately. For people who already have debts, what's going to happen is the interest rate is also going to rise. So let's say, so this is where the credit card problem comes in again. Let's say you have so much of debt, right? X amount of debt, and then not because of you, because your country has suddenly gone into a recession, and your country decides it can't pay its debts anymore. Interest rates is going to rise. And so what's going to happen is your bank, the amount of interest that your bank charges you to pay back the money that you borrowed is also going to increase. So maybe from 6% it becomes 9%.
And
I don't know. So
from a normal person's perspective, 6 to 9% not be a lot, but then like when you're paying it, you'll know the difference lah.
Exactly.
It's gonna be a huge amount.
Yeah. So someone was telling me the other day, right? When you borrow, when even when it comes to paying tax, right? Right. So bottom 40%. So that's in terms referring to your income. So you either fall under the bottom 40% in the country, or else you're the top 20% in terms of how much you're earning, or otherwise you're probably in somewhere in the middle. So apparently, when you jump from one stage to another, for example, let's say tomorrow you jump from bottom 40 to T20 suddenly.
And I suppose at the time I should get like a lottery or something.
Yeah, possibly. So maybe from a point where you're not paying taxes at all, you might suddenly be paying 150,000 ringgit out of your pocket, depending on how much you're earning. And that's a substantial amount of money. So, and apparently if you can see, let's say, well, if you're a millionaire, you're paying 150,000 ringgit, it doesn't make much. doesn't make much of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess when you're somewhere in the middle, right? Let's say your salary was like 20,000 a month, for example, right? And you're paying 5,000 in taxes, and then suddenly, let's say you switch jobs, right? And let's say you're working somewhere, you become the CEO of your company, and you're making something like 80,000. So
Sounds
what
good.
was 5,000? Yeah, that's what the CEOs of a few companies, I remember, it comes out in the newspaper on and off, how much the CEOs of big companies in Malaysia are earning. It's somewhere around that. They get like 80,000 a month, something like that. So you were paying 5,000 ringgit a month earlier, right? From 20,000 ringgit. So let's say you go to 80,000, you're suddenly going to see them suddenly taking something like 20,000 out of your pocket. And so sure, you have what, 80,000, you still have 60,000 remaining. But then how much did you pay to get your education to such a level? To be a CEO of a company, probably either master's or PhD, right?
Yeah.
Doing that plus the amount of time that you've worked, not sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
put everything into consideration. You're probably, when you're a CEO, you're probably got lots of investments in terms of what the house that you own, the car that you own.
That's
how
not
many kids you
investment
have.
already lah. That's already liability. Even kids also.
but well, you can't do anything about it. It's not like money for you to spend on food or anything, right? It's like, you got no choice but to take it off.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then if you're paying for private school tuition, musical instruments, extra languages, for example,
This suddenly become like
which-
the whole parenting session already lah.
yeah, I mean, these are the things that the typical rich parent will do, right?
Yeah, true, makes sense.
Suddenly 20,000 makes so much of a difference, and it's also a very substantial amount. You start questioning yourself. At the end of the day, does all of it add up? Am I actually being paid less than what I'm supposed to be earning?
Is it even worth it at this point, right? After making all those effort, yeah.
So yeah, exactly. So that's when it really makes a difference. And like you said, you sort of start questioning, is it worth it? All of that and you're giving 20,000 away to people that you don't know, for programs that you don't know are going to, but you're not sure whether they're going to work or not. For stuff like for stuff like buildings that the government wants.
And suddenly the second world's tallest skyscraper.
Well, might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. Time will tell, right? But then the point is, I think that's where I came to the point that I sort of realized, so that's what all the fuss is about, because it's actually hitting people directly in their pockets and they actually feel it.
Exactly.
So what do you have to say to that?
Yeah, I think at this point, after like hearing everything you have to say, right? At this point, I'm already questioning myself. Is it even wise to earn more?
Existential crisis. I mean, yeah. Don't work.
Yeah, I think
I'm encouraging a brain drain here. No,
if you see the silver lining of it,
if you can.
If you can manage while your salary is at 20,000, I'm very positively sure that you can still manage it while it's at 80,000.
Yeah, but you know when it really hurts though?
When you're having a family. Don't have family, guys. Don't have kids.
No.
Advice
not
from Yuvan.
there. Not there as well. You'll do well in Singapore. Go for it. But I'll tell you what though. Do you know when it really hurts? It's when you compare yourself to countries with less taxes, and then countries
I was going to say
that pay higher for the same skill set. Stuff like that, and you look at where your friends are, and then you put that in comparison to where you are. Sure, you've got the title and everything, but are you really getting paid enough? That's the bottom line, based on all the liabilities that you have. That's the way you put it, right? The amount that you have to spend on yourself, to invest in yourself at the end of the day, was it worth all of that?
Everything that you said, right, just keeps on showing that we need to know what we are doing exactly, right? So if you're smart about it, and you can I'm not advising or actually asking people to do this, but it's a viable option, I would say. Find a country to migrate that has low tax rate.
20 years from now, you become famous. This is going to come up, I tell you.
Or if you love your own country like I do, like Karan does, we love our country. We are going to...
There we go.
We are going to stay there, and we are going to be smart about this stuff. If you know there's this stuff like Karan said earlier, like tax exemption, and then there are ways for you to be smart and not pay a lot of money in your debt or whatever, like even interest for the sake. Just be smart at it and ask people that are in the correct place for it, and then you'll be good to go. Like, don't just enter without having zero knowledge about it.
So the sooner you know all of it, the better, I guess.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure you're going to disagree with me, but then like it just goes back to my very first point. The parents should teach the kids way earlier.
Yeah, no, but yeah, like I said, I disagree. But we leave it there. Interesting conversation today. You know what I was thinking? We should revisit this topic. Like, if the podcast continues like 7 years from now, when I guess I'm quite sure we'll know like way like all that you need to know about it already. I
Yeah.
think revisiting this will be like fantastic for people our age, right? Who want to know like what everything is all about. Like,
Yeah.
I
When
think
Bitcoin already reached the moon.
yeah, when we revisit it, will be like super detailed, I
Yeah.
guess.
I think by the time we revisit it, Elon Musk is already buying another planet already.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Maybe he built a new planet himself.
Yeah. Suddenly you're like, hey Karen, where are you? Oh, I'm at Saturn lah.
Yeah, there's free oxygen here.
Free oxygen. Oh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, free oxygen, huh? Who would have thought the day will come? Free oxygen. Yeah, but you have to pay a premium to get in the first place.
Yeah. Only if you have Spotify Premium, then only you can get free oxygen. If you're like fucking cheapskate that you're using YouTube, then cannot lah. No oxygen for you.
Hey, but YouTube is good.
Yeah, YouTube is good because our main audience are there. Please comment, guys. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Please comment.
Thanks, you've been listening to Youth Unhinged. We'll catch you in the next episode. Goodbye.